FPL is a game of predictions, but sometimes it feels hard to literally try and predict the future. Welcome to FPL Mate, my name is Dan, and today, using the power of data and analytics, we are going to attempt to do just that, predict the next big point scorers of FPL. Guys, hear me out. Now, for a lot of people, they like to see results before bringing in a player into their FPL team. And if their player is not scoring goals, getting assists, keeping clean sheets, then they're not interested in a player at all and may even look to sell these players if they have them already. But that is not always the case. Past points do not always equal future results. And I'm going to show you exactly how we can make predictions that are not necessarily based on just the goals and assists we've seen before, and what players are actually due to return big. Due points. Yet it is a real thing. We're not talking about gambler's fallacy here. We are actually talking about players who are due results. So, just like we have seen previously with predicting Eze getting his big haul in Game Week 3 after blanking twice, and players like Semenyo scoring in Game Week 3, all based on the data, we're going to do it all over again with a whole bunch of players, and you may change your opinions on certain FPL assets after watching this video. Strap in. So let's just jump in straight and talk about certain players that I think are really interesting. And the first player is actually going to be Gvardiol. Now, at the end of this video, we are going to do a big definitive list of the most unlucky players to have not scored points and players who are really due to score points in the near future based on what they have done already in the Premier League and what we can extrapolate from that. But we're going to start off with Gvardiol as an interesting pick, as just looking at a few individuals in this list. And what we have seen from Gvardiol, particularly in Game Week 3, we saw a real uptick in his attacking numbers. So really much better than the initial two games. And now we kind of see him actually, yeah, his attacking numbers are not too bad at all. 4 shots he's taken and a little bit of creativity we saw in that last game as well against West Ham. But what is big about Man City and about Gvardiol and what we're seeing with these Man City defenders, they are all actually scoring far less points than we would perhaps expect and are underperforming on their expected points. Gvardiol was predicted based on what he has done and what his team has done so far. He should be on around 15.24 points, around 15 points essentially, but he's only on 11 points. So if you have Gvardiol, you can consider yourself very unlucky, and actually, whether you have him, you may want to keep him, and if you don't have him, actually, these results are suggesting maybe you can bring him in, because the big thing here is that Man City are looking really good defensively, and whilst Liverpool have kept 3 clean sheets in 3, Man City are actually putting up the same defensive data, very, very similar defensive data to Liverpool. So Liverpool have been a little fortunate to have kept the 3 clean sheets. Man City, super unfortunate to only have 1 clean sheet so far, because particularly over the last 2 game weeks, they've conceded hardly any chances. And if they continue to not concede many chances, then the clean sheets are going to come. That is how it works. And over the season, we are going to see that balance out. So unlucky Gvardiol owners so far, I think things are going to change around. We are predicting some big points from him, not just through his improved creativity and goal scoring kind of potential, but also the clean sheets are coming, and the data really, really suggests that. And if you don't have Gvardiol, think about buying him. The next player on our list is Rodgers, and I know a lot of people have bought into the Rodgers hype and maybe feel a little bit disappointed so far, but what we've seen from him is, well, he has underperformed. 6 points so far in the Premier League, and he's expected to be around 10 points this season, maybe even as far as 11. 10.42 expected points from him so far because of his attacking output. Now, he's already created 0.3 XG, including 2 big chances there for Ollie Watkins, who unfortunately missed both of the big chances that Rodgers created for him. We've also seen a little bit of attacking potential here. 5 shots, 2 in the box, 0.3 XG. Now, if he continues at this rate and, you know, is creating big chances for his teammates and is taking the odd shot here and there as well, he will make good value of that 5 million price tag, particularly in these favourable fixtures that he has. Points are coming. There are a lot of positive signs here. So again, we're predicting the future on Rodgers. If you have him in your team and you've been disappointed so far, well, move moving forward, I think you're going to see very, very, very different results. And we just mentioned Watkins, so let's continue the conversation on him. Yes, another player who has had some huge opportunities to score. He's already generated 1.57 XG and is yet to score. He is on just 9 points so far with that 1 assist, but his expected points so far this season are almost 14. So he should be on around 14 points based on his actions on the pitch. Now, obviously, he is coming in with some slight injury issues that was kind of acquired prior to the season, but over the international break, if he can get himself back fit, back sharp, and in top form once again, then he is going to be burying these chances that his teammates are clearly creating for him. He is getting chances to score, and it's not going to be long until he scores one of them, and in these great fixtures, it is only a matter of time. So another player who's been frustrating to own so far, but again, we're trying to identify players who haven't really scored many points so far, but are looking likely to score points in the future. So Ollie Watkins is another player to think about. Another player I think a lot of people have been disappointed in is actually Muniz of Fulham. He's a nice cheap forward, and a few people brought him in for the nice fixture against Ipswich last game week, and maybe feeling a little bit disappointed here. But here are some amazing stats around Muniz. So only one player has taken more shots so far this season in the box than Muniz. Can you guess who it is? Of course, it's Erling Haaland. No one else has taken more shots in the box than Muniz. He is a shots machine, and shots often breed goals. Of course, like I was kind of mentioning earlier, a lot of people, they want to see the goals before they believe the numbers. But this video is about predicting the future, not just looking at past points. So we're trying to predict, using this data, this many shots. If a player continues to take this many shots in the box, one of them is going to go in. And we've seen Muniz already 1.02 XG generated so far this season, and he should be on around 12 points. He's only on 6 points. So there's a real gap there between how many points he has scored and how many points he should have scored based on the data. If he continues to put up this data, he will score. There's no way a player can take this many shots and not score a goal. Predicting the future, Muniz, first goal of the season, coming soon. So this next player is a bit of a rogue one, and it's actually Tavernier. I actually think this is kind of interesting because he has scored a goal so far this season, but his data is actually insane. So he's taken a lot of shots, 12 shots, not as many in the box as Muniz, but he's had 3 big chances to score, which is a lot. He's generated 2.08 XG. Now, in fairness, I don't think Tavernier is on the same levels of goal scoring as, you know, like a more clinical forward like, I don't know, Haaland or a Son maybe, but if you put up this amount of XG, you are genuinely eventually going to score goals. It's just impossible that you won't score goals if you keep putting up this kind of data. He scored one already. He keeps taking this many shots. He keeps getting this many chances. The system is clearly favouring Tavernier at Bournemouth right now. He's going to score more goals. But also, 9 key passes. That is enormous. That is an insane amount of key passes for just 3 game weeks. He's creating 3 chances for his teammates per game, and he hasn't got an assist yet. So 13 points so far, which isn't too bad for a 5.5 million midfielder, but he should have scored 19.56 points based on this data. It's really, really good data, and yeah, just wanted to highlight him as a bit of a rogue shout who seems to be performing really well, but maybe the results haven't quite matched up to what he is doing on the field. Let's throw in another defender, and it's going to be Milenkovic, and he is a 4.5 million defender who, interestingly, has only played 2 games so far because he was unable to play in the first game week, but during that time, he has already generated 1 XG as a defender, as a centre-back, and he is clearly a player who should have scored so far, given that he is at 1 XG. Now, he's an enormous guy. He is a set-piece threat big time, and he is going to get opportunities to score from those set pieces from Nottingham Forest. But the other point is that Milenkovic is also a player whose team is putting up really good defensive data at the moment as well. So just looking through Nottingham Forest's defensive data, you know, we're looking at you know, defensive data is some of the best in the entire league. They've only kind of expected goals conceded is super low. Obviously, we've got 1 clean sheet so far, but this is like up there, not quite Liverpool and Man City levels, but this is better defensive data than Arsenal. It's better than like Man United, Chelsea, Spurs, like a lot of the big teams. Nottingham Forest have much better defensive data. So whilst we're all talking about like a Robinson for a 4.5 million defender, we're looking at Konsa from Aston Villa maybe, Milenkovic is actually a player putting up much better numbers right now. So yes, he has kept that one clean sheet so far this season, but going across the rest of this, well, into the future, there's going to be more clean sheets for Nottingham Forest, judging by what they've done so far. We knew from last season that the defensive data was good. They were unfortunate. And also the attacking threat. He is a goal waiting to happen. This is something. So trust me, guys, predicting the future, Milenkovic, he is going to have a mega haul in FPL very, very soon. I can feel it. You can see it through his data. Madness. Absolute madness. And before we round up and look at the total list, the overall list, I want to have a look at Garnacho, who is, again, another player been really unlucky. And I think most of it comes down to a lack of minutes, maybe. Just one assist so far. But I think he is into the future, looking into the future, he is going to get more game time for Manchester United, and he should be a main starter for the rest of the season now, hopefully. Kind of unfortunate to not start in the opening couple of games, but now he's probably your nailed-on guy at Manchester United, the most promising player at the club right now, you would say. And yeah, 1.43 XG so far this season, no goals. That's not going to continue, right? Maybe there is a little bit of, in this case, because there hasn't been too many chances to score and it's kind of a couple of very good chances. I don't know if this is as sustainable as someone like Muniz, who is just genuinely taking so many shots, and obviously one of them is going to find the back of the net. With Garnacho, it's fewer chances, but higher qualities of chances. And I don't know if that is as predictable going forward when we look at the data. But a little bit of creativity here as well. 4 key passes. But overall, looking at his minutes, he's only played 123 minutes in the Premier League so far this season. And he's already got 1.43 XG and 0.25 XA. These are very promising signs. And you can see 7 points scored so far. Expected points 14.17. So something big probably on the way when he gets a good fixture like Southampton and he is starting regularly again. Which brings us to Bruno Fernandes, possibly the most unlucky player in FPL so far this season because, yeah, he's doing absolute bits. He's taking a lot of shots. He is getting big chances. He has got 1.17 XG, but is also creating huge chances for his teammates with 0.83 expected assists. By all of these numbers, he should have 2 FPL returns so far this season. If he just tracks at, like, the average level over the course of the season, this suggests he should have 2 returns. He has 0. How? I don't know. In fairness, against Liverpool, that was a tough game. But moving forward, if he continues to create these great chances for his teammates, if he continues to take a decent amount of shots in dangerous areas, generating that XG, the data suggests that he is going to come alive. He is going to score points. And if you have him in your team right now, you're probably feeling really down on him. 7 points so far this season. That's probably not good enough, right? You're upset by that. But what I'm trying to convey in this video is that you can't just look at the past points to predict future points. There is more to it than that. We saw that with Eze in particular last game week, in game week 3. Everyone was writing him off in game week 1 and 2 because even though his data was amazing, people were saying, well, he's not scoring points. So I don't believe he will ever score points again. But if the data supports that he is unlucky to not score points, then he probably will score points in the future. And that is exactly Bruno. And by the way, guys, just to make perfectly clear, not everyone who has performed, who hasn't scored FPL points so far will in the future. But if their data suggests that they will in the future, then it is likely that they will. But if a player has not scored any goals so far this season, but also their underlying numbers are terrible, then, they're not going to score points in the future either. Or maybe not very many. And it works the other way around as well, guys. If a player is actually, maybe a player has scored 1 goal this whole season, but they've only taken 1 shot this entire season. That player, yes, they've scored more goals than a Muniz, but in the future, it is more likely that Muniz scores a goal than this other player who's only taken 1 shot so far this season and scored with it, because the data is supporting Muniz with these sustainable numbers that look really good. And this is proven, by the way, guys, that, this is something that has worked. This is the whole basis of, analytical play of FPL. This is how the person won FPL last year. The guy who won FPL last year used this data, used this analytics to predict the future. So it seems a little bit mad. Like, how can you predict the future in FPL? This is how you do it. So let's look at the final table of the, I guess, the unluckiest players so far this season who, despite low points, are predicted to score more in the future. And here we go, guys, and we've ordered it by the difference between their expected points based on what they have done on the football field and their actual points. So you can see that Bruno is number 1 with a difference of 9.52. That is absolutely crazy stuff. In second place here, Nori, kind of an interesting one. Really unlucky to have not scored in that last game, substituted in the 59th minute. And actually, an interesting thing about Wolves is even though they have conceded a lot of goals, they've actually not conceded as many chances as you would think. And over the course of the season, I think if Wolves continue to track at their current numbers, they're not actually going to concede, a 3 or 4 goals a game on average. It's not going to happen in the future because their data is naturally not that bad. Garnacho, Milenkovic, we've already spoken about. Colwill is on here. That's pretty interesting. Tavernier, Harrison, an Everton player. Maybe less surprising to see an Everton player underperforming. But of course, we've got Muniz here, followed by Aribo, Tete, Andreas, Sanchez, the Chelsea goalkeeper. So we see a couple of Chelsea defensive assets in here who are likely to get clean sheets in the future. We've got a couple of Man City players here, Ruben Dias, similar situation to Gvardiol. Both of these players should have kept more clean sheets by now and have been unlucky to have not done, and in the future, they probably will do. Doku, Diop, Watkins, Cunha, Rogers, Nico Williams, another Nottingham Forest player there. Erdegaard has been unlucky as well. Gvardiol, Leno, Antonio Cruz, De Bruyne, and Lewis there at the bottom. So, yeah, let me know, guys, how many of these players do you have in your team? Who is the most unlucky manager watching this video right now who has a bunch of these players who have been super unfortunate not to get more points? But more importantly, if you do have these players, are you willing to keep them knowing that we're expecting them to score more points in the future? Are you still willing to do that? Or do you want to see actual points before you believe and trust in a player? And finally, are you thinking about buying any of these guys? If their data looks good and they've been unlucky not to score FPL points, then surely going into the future, they can score points. Would you be willing to trust them? Let me know if you think about that. Will you buy any? So yeah, lots of questions there. I appreciate that. But yeah, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this because I think it's a really interesting topic of discussion. But we're going to leave it there, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure you drop a like. Do subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll see you on the next video. See you later, mates. Bye-bye.